show today. Let's go, guys. We've got a new saying in Washington because deals are getting done, guys. I got such good news for you today. There is a new saying. I just got to go ahead and show you this, guys. It is called "In Doge We Trust." Now, we're not trying to say we're changing the "In God We Trust." You know, that's always there. But the new saying is "In Doge We Trust." I love it because people are finally getting on board, and it's amazing because as the Democrats tried to come through and try to shut down the government, Trump and Mike Johnson were able to pull through. They made it happen not only with securing the House votes in order to not shut down the government. We've also have leaked news from Senator John Thune in the Senate, who says that they have secured the votes needed to pass the CR bill and the government will not be shut down. So this is phenomenal news. On top of that, more leaked news that the deal is done with Russia and Ukraine over the ceasefire. So Ukraine has already agreed to a 30-day ceasefire to hammer out a deal to end the war. We've been waiting for Russia. Well, there's leaked news popping all over X, so we know that today we are expecting to hear Russia say, all right, we're agreeing to the ceasefire, and in 30 days, we will find an end to this war, guys. Such phenomenal news. This is amazing. I love it. People are getting things done. On top of that, and I think Trump should win a Nobel Prize, Peace Prize, for getting this done so fast. On top of that, inflation, guys, is coming down. Everything that everybody's experiencing with high egg prices, high gas prices, electricity prices, all that, well, now that we are reducing spending, inflation is starting to come down exponentially. Remember, inflation only occurs whenever you create money to spend. If you do not create money and you spend less, then you have less inflation. Doge is now up to $191 billion in money saved for the taxpayers in less than 2 months of President Trump being in office. And you gotta give it to him, guys. I don't know where the heck Pam Bondi is, but our boy Cash Patel, Cash is Money, is coming out and is charging a high-ranking career CBP official with attempting to defraud FEMA. You see, Trump's seen all this, and he knew that there was fraud. And now that he's got cash in there, he is finding all these people that have been stealing from the taxpayers, holding them accountable, and now officially charging them. Can you get I love it. And we got some more saved money from some ridiculous grants that were granted by the Biden administration. Doge has officially canceled $620,000 for the LGBTQ plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. So you see, they got to teach them though, hey, you may think you're a boy, but guess what? You still got the lady parts and you can still get pregnant. So we're going to help you not let that happen. $620,000 for that. What a hypocritical grant. $699,000 for studying cannabis use among sexual minority, gender diverse individuals. Almost $700,000. $740,000 for examining social networks among Black and Latino sexual minority men in New Jersey. All that money saved for the taxpayers. You better believe it, guys. Trump is making things happen. We got such great news today, getting things done. I want to say thank you to all of our subscribers. Thank you to everybody that is a member of the channel. Want to say, if you want to be a member, remember you get special perks. You also get 15% off on our new t-shirts that are coming out. These are premium t-shirts, everybody. And want to say thank you to everybody who's purchased thus far. And if you don't mind, guys, doing us a big favor and hitting that thumbs up like button. We really appreciate your support. And thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. Oh, we got to give Gerald some love in the chat already. First time super chat, killing it, super effective. I love it. Y'all show Gerald some love in the chat, guys. We are making things happen. Things are moving fast. The Democrats are losing it, and MAGA is winning. America is winning. Check this out.
Biden left a big mess for Trump to clean up. We're not just talking about policies. Biden built a whole Hollywood set in the White House to make it easier for him to read the teleprompter and move around without tripping. The Trump team found it and doged it.
We're in Biden's Fake Oval Office, everybody. And I've actually figured this out. I now know why. I now get it. Turn the camera around. There is a screen, teleprompter to the face. All I can say is the last administration was a disgrace.
Everything about the last administration was phony. They held fake cabinet meetings, pretended the president was healthy, lied about Kamala being qualified. She ate some Doritos last week and tried explaining where she got them. Listen.
We did DoorDash because I wanted Doritos. And they were about, the red carpet part was about to start. Nobody wanted to leave to go to the grocery store. So it was DoorDash. And I'm thinking about this, so I was willing to give up whatever might be the tracking of Kamala Harris's particular fondness for nacho cheese Doritos for the sake of getting a big bag of Doritos as I watched the Oscars.
The good news is Kamala's not your president and probably never will be.
Let's go.
I don't know if we'll ever see a Democrat president again, because I just don't think
What did I tell you guys?
they are of a mind that that can happen without it ruining the country. The Democrats draw the line at when they lose an election, they just quit. They quit quick. I mean, Kamala Harris was in the Bahamas on Thursday. I mean, they just okay, we lost, get out of town. See you, we'll try again next year, no big deal.
The Democrat brand is busted. Their internal polls show most voters think Democrats are too politically correct and elitist. And now they're not looking out for the working people. Now Democrat strategists are begging the party to get it together.
We are taking positions that definitionally make it impossible to win elections. Right. I'm sorry, I'm going to cuss here, but we got to stop that. They thought that we were weird. They thought that we were out of touch.
You are.
We did not listen to enough people and talk enough about the need to secure the border and lower costs.
AOC says she's all ears. Cortez is coming to your town.
If your representative is not doing a town hall, give me a ring. I mean, I'll say it right here, right now. If a deep red Republican district wants to have an honest conversation, even if it's with someone they disagree with, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to meet with Republicans.
The only reason AOC wants to talk to Republicans is because no one's paying attention to her. Democrats say they're listening to you, but Democrats listening is just another hoax. The country said on November 5th, enough with the dictator stuff. And here's the DNC Vice Chair, David Hogg.
In this country, we don't bow to kings. And we need our young people to stand up to Donald Trump because he knows that we are one of the biggest threats against him. This is happening, and we can't let it stand.
If insulting Trump was a good strategy, Kamala would be eating Doritos in the Oval right now. And Rosie O'Donnell would still be living in America.
I'm here in Ireland, and it's beautiful and
Please stay there.
warm. Not physically, it's actually quite cold. Moved here on January 15th, and it's been pretty wonderful. In the process of getting my Irish citizenship, as I have Irish grandparents. When, it is safe for all citizens to have equal rights there in America, that's when we will consider coming back.
No.
Kevin McCarthy is the former Speaker of the House. Can you believe Rosie has left the country?
Well, as an Irish American, I'm excited as an American, but as Irish, she kind of destroyed St. Patrick's Day for Ireland, or gave them a reason to drink till they're drunk.
Poor Rosie. She says she's coming back, though, so I'm sure we'll be ready to accept her. I'm not sure if she'll get through customs, but we'll see how she does. Kevin,
does she know the border's secure now? She's going to have a hard time getting back.
I hope she brought her passport with her. The situation on the left is discouraging to me. I'm disappointed. I'm saddened by it. How do you feel?
Look, I think this is the most leaderless Democratic Party I've ever seen. Hakeem and Schumer do not know where to go. They cannot make a decision. They're putting videos out to say, pick your fighter. They just voted to try to shut the government down. For what? To send more hardworking taxpayer money for transgender operas to some country in Africa we don't even know the name of? I mean, they don't know what to even fight for. I think they'll be lost for a while until they get some new leadership.
Do you believe the Democrats have a plan? Because I keep hearing about this plan. I haven't seen it yet.
They have no plan. To order DoorDash, that's their plan? They don't have a plan. You talk to them every day. And, okay, let's give President Trump the credit, though. He not only has destroyed them, they can't figure out how to even argue against them because every day he does something more.
Yes.
And the interesting part, I watched that DNC vice chair say something. If you look at the polling for President Trump, he's getting the youth vote. That hasn't happened since Reagan. And you don't just get that. You have to earn that.
Yes.
And when the young people support you, they believe you have the future.
Guys, I love it. And you know what? The winning keeps happening, guys. I love it. If you love the winning, guys, hit that thumbs up like button. I love it. What you're about to see next, guys, is again, I love when I get to show left-wing media outlets having to admit that what Trump is doing is actually working. Check this out.
Finally, we have some good news on the economy and really the number one issue for many Americans, the cost of living. So we just learned that consumer prices in February increased by 2.8% year over year, 0.2% month over month. Both of these figures were a step in the right direction and both were better than expected. So this is definitely very encouraging to see because it's going to, I think, relieve some fears that inflation was perhaps re-accelerating because this actually breaks a streak of 4 straight months where I think you could see it on the chart all the way to the right where the inflation rate was going in the wrong direction, right? It was going higher and higher. Finally, we're seeing it dip up.
We're seeing it dip, guys. We have, I love it. The winning is so good right now, guys. When you look at what Trump is doing, gas prices in the USA are now at their lowest level since March 2021. Egg prices have decreased to $1.83 per dozen. Illegal migrant crossings have dropped 93%. Why? Because people are feeling better about what's happening. Things are changing in the right direction. Now we got this new CR bill that's passed. Trump is making headways across the board with all of his new plans. And again, too, guys, I'm serious. I say in the next 2 years, we're probably going to see Greenland being the next state of the United States. But more good things are happening. Check this out.
2 things. We just elected Donald Trump to reform government. It's only been 30 days. The border crossing numbers have fallen off a cliff. He is already working on moving around chess pieces in the economy. He's already moving on dismantling the Department of Education. It's been about, is it 52 days now? 52 days. Give the guy a chance. So number one, he's not going to fix everything in this bill right now. Yeah, it's just unrealistic. And second, folks, it sucks. But the left-wing media still has some power, and the public just isn't there yet with government shutdowns. Guys, ladies, people panic with government shutdowns. And it's because the media feeds into the panic. They tell people receiving Social Security, they're going to cut off your checks. Puppies are going to die. AIDS and cancer research is going to stop on a dime. People are going to die everywhere. Black holes are going to form over there. It'd be like that movie. Remember when the moon crashes into Earth? And people believe it. I'm sorry, but I live in the world that we're stuck with, not the world I would like to kind of mold like Play-Doh. I get it. The bill sucks. You win. Can we agree? Can we handshake on it? I'm simply stating to you, if you don't have some kind of a voting plan, then you're just talking. Reality matters. Literally. There's going to be the liberal use of the word literally in the show today. Literally. You'll see. You know I hate the word, right? You'll see what I mean in a second, but you're using it. I'll tell you why. But it's both sides. Did you guys pick up on that too? Both of these clips? You did, right? Here first. Here is Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. He knows this is a crap bill, but he knows it's a simple matter of arithmetic. There was no way to get past the Senate filibuster, and you can't do reconciliation in this bill, period. They weren't going to get Democrat votes on this. Just a few, and that's it. Here's Johnson yesterday roasting the liberals on this. Check this out.
On Friday, they said, quote, Republicans have decided to introduce a partisan continuing resolution. that threatens to cut funding for health care, nutritional assistance, and veterans benefits through the end of the year. Every single word of that is a lie. Every single word. They just made it up.
Yeah,
they didn't
did.
read the bill. It's nonsense. People are not buying this. And you see the contrast between one party, which is leading, moving the ball forward for the American people, and the other that is just screaming.
So if this was such a horrible thing last night, and I get it, the bill sucks. I've already said this here. Period. I'll put a big dot here, there in the corner. Period. I get it. The question isn't, does it suck? The question is, it's like being in some foreign prison camp in a communist nation. Okay, being there sucks. Do you have a plan to get out? No, well, you can complain about it all you want. How the hell are you going to get out of the prison? That's the problem. You need a plan. Why are the Democrats freaking out, and using the word literally, why are they freaking out so much if this was such a terrible day? Let me answer the question for you, because what's the point of being here? It's not a pop quiz. It's my job, at least for the next 3 days. Gosh, I can't believe it. 3 days, man. Can't believe we're only 2 shows away from the finale. When the other side starts losing their mind, folks, it usually means we're doing something right. Here, let me just lay out for you what they wanted to do. They wanted the Republicans to not have enough Republican votes to pass this thing. They wanted the government to shut down the Democrats. I thought they had hated shutdowns. No, they wanted it because they wanted to say, look at these idiots. They just got into office. They have all three of they have the court system. They have the executive branch. They have the House. They have the Senate. And they can't even pass a spending bill. That was going to be their message. I'm not telling you it's right. And they wanted us to look like the chaos party because they understood they could do that. They're stunned now that Speaker Johnson has now whipped 2 votes on reconciliation, which has started, and there's been no chaos at all. Only Massey, who, again, I'm not mad at the guy at all. What would I be mad at the guy for? His message is right, cut spending. It's just the tactics I disagree with. I can't believe how many people are in my chat and the Facebook messages. Yeah, you suck, Massey's crap. Great. What's your plan? I don't have one. Oh, okay, cool. This is great. This is a representative, was it Melanie Stansberry? This is a lady who, I love how they attack me for foul language or something. This lady is using foul language all the time and others. So that's kind of hilarious. They only seem to be selective on that. But here's a Democrat rep basically losing it over the CR, and she gives away the battle plan I told you yesterday and does it inadvertently. She exaggerates, of course. They're going to cut firefighters and veterans. She's, of course, making that up. That's not the target at all. There are going to be some people in government who are going to be separated from jobs, okay? We don't have the money to pay all these people anymore. We just don't. But listen to her exaggerate. But she actually gives away the plan I told you yesterday. She's not wrong in her premise that Republicans want to move on to the reconciliation bill to get a hold of the out-of-control federal budget, which is exactly what I told you yesterday. And she thinks it's a win for her. Check this out.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes when I'm standing in this chamber, I literally cannot believe my ears. And I have to say that today is one of those days because as we stand here on the floor today, I am hearing members of the other side of the aisle who said they would never vote for a continuing resolution, that they would never vote to raise the debt, that they would never vote for a bill that extends the debt ceiling, say that we have to pass this.
Yeah, you hear this, guys? It's hilarious to see the Democrats are losing it on the left. You know, they're trying to say that, they said they would never do this, never do this. Well, guess what? Those may have been the Republican rhinos, but we are moving in the MAGA agenda, and that changes everything, guys. Trump administration cuts funding to Maine universities after state defies trans ban. Guys, promises made, promises kept. Brenda Miro, welcome to the family. Let's go. Y'all show Brenda some love in the chat, as well as Ty Matt Chong, who said, I'm glad to see the change. Go Trump. Hopefully he makes change to permanently on the clock change and credit card interest to 10%. Thanks, Joel. Hey, y'all show Ty Matt some love in the chat. Guys, this is promises made, promises kept. If you appreciate this, guys, hit that thumbs up like button, guys. We appreciate your support. We are moving into a new era of transparency. Guys, check out this. FBI Director Kash Patel posted today and said, following efforts with our interagency partners, I can report that a career director level employee at U.S. Customs and Border Protection has been charged with allegedly attempting to defraud FEMA as well as lying to federal agents. This is part of the new FBI's renewed efforts to crack down on public corruption and to deliver accountability for the people. Justice will be done. This is what we need. There's there's so many posts out there, guys, that are hilarious about Pam Bondi. It's sad because we haven't seen her really do much. We know she's working. That's what they say she's doing. But we haven't seen her do much, and we need that transparency just like what Kash Patel is doing. Because again, too, we are living in historic times right now. Like, we will remember whenever we acquired Greenland, whenever Trump shut down the Department of Education, whenever Trump shut down FEMA, Trump shut down USAID. And it's going to keep getting better because we're putting Americans first. Check this out.
You're living massive history right now. You're seeing it happen. It would be like being in the field command with Washington, or it'd be like with your John Hay, the young secretary sitting there with Lincoln and sitting in the meetings. It's exactly what you're seeing. He's putting it all out there. This is populism. He's inviting you in, and he's thinking out loud about what he's going to do. He's speaking over the heads of the media, by the way, speaking to you in the world. That's what's so important to get these. This is why I'm so proud of what Real America's Voice has done. Proud of Brian Glenn, the entire team. And they're inviting us in. Why? They understand that we are giving a totally different coverage than anybody else. That we're able to frame this, and then you see it, and then you think about it and mull over it, and then the next day, and you can, all the madness, because remember, it's all a swirl. In the media right now, and the meltdown is, last night's tariffs, he's a madman, he's insane. There's a method to the madness. There's a method to the madness. Ukraine has agreed to everything that he wanted in order to get this done.
Yes.
And now he's got Witkoff in Moscow. He's going to bring the Russian piece, and the Russian part in Ukraine is just one tiny part. For these other guys, it's the world. Later today, he sent half of the Department of Education folks home last night. And today, supposedly an executive order is going to shut the whole thing down. How many Republicans have talked for this and run on this?
Yes.
How many times in primaries for either people running for the Senate or the House or in generals or, in presidentials have you heard over and over again? It's just a talking point. It's just a talking point. This is the difference in Trump. This is the difference in the MAGA movement. Action, action, action. Use your agency. We're here for a limited amount of time. It's urgent. It has to be urgent. That's what Trump is. It's urgency. And Weigel's sitting right there, and he's seen it all. He's been around for over a decade. He sees that they're not prepared for this. They've gotten lazy. They controlled the institutions, and now the institutions have been taken from them. And yes, we are purging the institutions. This is why all my differences with Elon Musk, and they're quite deep, the Doge as the shock troops is brilliant. I want to get to the fact of where we actually stand with the money, but just the shock troop element of it is brilliant, and it's traumatized them. They can't grasp it. Opportunity to be grabbed. Trump is seeing the problems, and he has identified the opportunities, and he's grabbing, he's driving. If everything goes according to plan today, the important thing is not the Irish guy coming. That's just performative. Because the Irish have already sold out their people and sold out, I think, the Irish throughout the world by being the most craven World Economic Forum, Davos crowd. Pathetic. Even the guys that try to be, not as pathetic as the core leadership are quasi-pathetic. The core things happening up on Capitol Hill are monumental. Number one, it's the Senate. And President Trump, I think, boxed him in, as I said, call people's bluff.
Yes.
Johnson called the bluff yesterday. And this is why the House Freedom Caucus, who hates this audience hates it, I understand, for a larger goal. to hate it. And now he's got the Senate. They had a lunch yesterday and went through the strategy, and they came in there and they were kind of blank stares. They got two choices, right? They can either vote for this and let Trump fight for another day and keep the government, not have a governmental shutdown fiasco because they can't see where they score political points because they can't see how to get out of it. Or they shut it down and they're afraid that just empowers Trump and Elon Musk and the other guys in the cabinets to say, okay, all these people are not essential. You got to go non-essential, essential. We're going to get rid of all the non-essentials. He's giving them a terrible choice. And if they vote and they get the 8 votes they need on the Democratic side, Fetterman already said he's in, it's going to be a monumental win for President Trump. One of the biggest wins he's ever gotten on Capitol Hill. And the cuts are made. And look, they threw some stuff in. Breitbart, John Binder, the best. You read Breitbart, you got Matt Boyle, you got Binder, you got other people over there great. Martell. But Binder's exceptional. You want to talk immigration and going through the phony plans and the visa plans, everything, Binder's the best. Guess what, folks? We took 50,000 Afghan refugees. I'm just not into that. I realize all the vets and things. You got to draw a line. You got to make tough decisions. I know there's tough calls. Unfortunately, they're tough calls. The number should be 0. Got stuck in there. They're too gutless to talk about it or go on TV, hey, here's what we're going to do, because they understand there'll be an uproar. Binder's reporting 50,000 now. Eli tells me they wanted more. What their fight was to get out 20, 25,000, 50,000 more, some other number. A massive win. The other win today, a massive win. If President Trump signs the executive order dissolving the Department of Education or dissolving part of it programmatically, this is where it gets to be huge because these cuts are going to have to come programmatically. You're taking out an entire cabinet of programs. This is where real cuts take place. Now, Department of Education is not huge, but it's symbolic of what he's prepared to do.
Boom.
And particularly, just think about it in your own life. How many times have you seen a brochure from somebody? Have you written them a $10 check or a $50 check? And one of their lists, we're going to get rid of the Department of Education. It's never happened. Ever. And they don't even try to do it. Trump, hey, get rid of them, fire half of them, send them home, boom, I'll get rid of the other half. It's relentless. And they can't handle relentless. They've never seen it. They've never been able to, they've never had to deal with this, and they can't deal with it. It's breaking their spirit. And if you break their spirit, you break them.
Guys, and look, I'm smiling. Why? Because I know it's good for America. But guys, these people are getting 8 months severance. 8 months. Do they get paid for the next 8 months for doing nothing? Plus benefits. Plus, they can go find another job in a month and then be getting paid double. Because even if you have another job before the 8 months is up, you still get paid the 8 month severance. That's the beautiful part about why this is good. Because if you can't find a job in 8 months, then you got a problem. But this is good for America. That's why the Doge clock I'm showing you on screen is up to $191 billion. This has never been done before. Democrats didn't do it in the past. Republicans didn't do it in the past. But now, since we got the Trump, MAGA, Elon Musk, they're showing us how much money is being saved. And this is phenomenal. It is so good for America. Thank you so much, Sharon Holt, for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Sharon some love in the chat. Guys, y'all are the best. I'm so grateful to be serving y'all with the top news. If you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, we really appreciate you so much. We've got big people that are coming into the realm of the MAGA, everybody. Think about it. You've got all Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, who's the upcoming, Vivek Ramaswamy. You even got Byron Donalds. There's a lot of people that are getting themselves ready so that maybe in the next 2-3 terms, they could be running for president. Because if Byron Donalds runs for governor, the next term in Florida does well, it gives him a leg up to stand to be president maybe the next 2 or 3 terms. And I would love that. Listen to this.
A pleasure to see you again. We hear reports about the far-left Arabella Advisors dark money network bankrolled by Democrat mega donors. What do you hear about this story?
I'm not shocked, actually.
We've been hearing rumors about that for a long time. And if anybody ever took the time to examine USAID, what we all knew is that you did have left-wing groups that operated under the guise of foreign aid. Let's look at what happened under Joe Biden and his terrible border policy. We had NGOs operating on both sides of our border who were helping to facilitate the illegal immigration into our country that Joe Biden allowed. So this is something that's been going on for a very long time. It is kudos to Elon Musk and his team, but also to the President of the United States, Donald Trump, for allowing Elon and his team access to federal records to uncover not just the waste, fraud, and abuse, but the gross mismanagement of dollars that go against the national interest of the United States.
Now we've got the breaking news. The House did advance the GOP government funding bill. It's heading to the Senate. So that's a win. That's going to move along, and we're going to get to the Trump tax cuts, deregulation, unleashing U.S. manufacturing, U.S. energy. What do you make of the breaking news that the U.S. Education Department will let go half of the Education Department staff? It's a staff of about 4,200. They're going to let go 2,100. What do you make of that news?
What I say is, look at the test scores of kids in our country since the creation of the Department of Education. Our kids have fallen behind. So if your kids are falling behind, but we're funding billions of dollars towards this effort, shouldn't we examine everybody that's there? Do we even need the amount of administrators in that outfit when it is clear that those resources will be better spent actually getting into the hands of parents so that their children can be better educated? This is one of the reasons why I support the ECCA going into budget reconciliation. And I also think these dollars at the Department of Education, they need to go into 529 accounts so parents can have direct access to those dollars and utilize them for the best interest of their children.
So it's basically about block grants out of HHS also to the states to do education. Will the Senate, let's move to the continuing resolution. Is the Senate going to enact the continuing resolution? And will the Senate enact Doge's cuts through rescission? I think you only need a 51 vote majority. What do you think, sir?
I think that's what the Senate should be doing. We are at a point where we have to cut back. We have to tighten our belts. You have the left that now wants to talk about the stock market all the time. And listen, as a former financial advisor, I want a high stock market as well. But our economy has to be based on sound economic principles. It can't be based on massive government overspending and government stimulus. That is simply not sustainable. And so we need to tighten our belts here in Washington. The Senate needs to follow suit, allow for the Doge cuts to continue so we can get on a sound financial footing going forward.
Is what Doge and Elon Musk are uncovering, the waste, fraud, and abuse, is it worse than you realized?
Yes, honestly, it is. We knew that there was rampant stuff going on, but this is significantly worse. And honestly, they're just scratching the surface.
Yes.
I'm quite sure there's more stuff that we're going to uncover as we move forward.
All right, Congressman Donalds, thank you so much for being with us tonight and taking the time.
Guys,
we appreciate you very much.
Again, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. Why? Because there's so much fraud, waste, and abuse. Everything that we've thought about, guys, think about it.
Wanted to start.
Everything that we've thought about that was supposedly probably happening is happening, and even more and worse with our taxpayer dollars, with no accountability, with no oversight whatsoever. When you see this right here, and I know that we have, we got a ton of people that watch our show that are on Social Security. When you see this right here, it makes you want to go to Washington, D.C. and smack every politician in the face because they allowed this to happen. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, you control the purse. We've had Republican and Democrat presidents over the past 20 to 30 years that have allowed for this to happen. $620,000 for an LGBT plus inclusive, guys, teen pregnancy prevention for transgender boys. And if I'm getting this, I think I'm getting this right. So it's girls that think that say they're boys, so that's what makes them transgender boys. So we still got to teach them, hey, guess what? You can still get pregnant. So let's not let that happen. And this is where $620,000 went. $699,000 for studying cannabis use. So let's go give them some cannabis. Let's see what happens between these diverse individuals. $75,000 for researching structural racism. Like nobody even knows what that is. And this is your hard-earned taxpayer dollars that are finally, you're getting to see that the government was wasting it. And now, because we have people that don't need this money, a ton of billionaires in the cabinet. They don't need all this money. They can find all the fraud and then make themselves a legend by uncovering it all, guys. This is what's so important. This is why even shutting down the Department of Education is so important. When you hear a person like who you're about to hear lay the smackdown on CNN, this is what is glorious for America. Check this out.
That premise and figure out how we can better educate our children. There are ways to do it other than draconian cuts. And I think in places like Mississippi, places like Arkansas, places like the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, South Carolina, North Carolina, they're going to fill these cuts a lot more.
May I respond?
Please. I mean, it's an open show.
As an individual who worked in the education system for 14 years, there's 110,000 high schools in America. The majority of them are in New York, Florida, Texas, and California. Our reading and math scores are the worst in the G7 and the G20 in terms of how many dollars we spend to advance our children. Okay. Why? Unions. Unions that keep mediocre teachers in place in every high school in America when we should be firing them. You want to talk about whack as our theme tonight's show? I would like to fire teachers that don't... Wait. And I'd like to pay a lot more to the teachers that advance math and reading scores, that push our system forward against every G7, G20 country. We have broken the system long ago through unions, and this is very unpopular.
But what are those cuts actually?
What it means is
the
lowest paid person in America that deserves a lot more money is a great teacher.
I agree.
And we can't, in the system of unions in America, we keep mediocrity festering, destroying the education of
Respectfully, let me
children.
just tell you how misguided your statement is.
Not at all.
But I mean, I'm just going to point out the fact that...
Thank goodness I'm here.
But you're wrong, and let me tell you why.
I'm 100% right.
No, I want to tell you why you're wrong. Because the bottom 10 states that are underperforming, those states that I'm talking about in the South, let's take South Carolina, for example, or Mississippi. You want to tell me one thing they don't have? One thing they don't have. Strong teacher unions. So there is no direct correlation.
They have weak teacher unions?
Or barely
But
any
they
at
have
all.
unions.
Yeah, but that's not the reason these places are failing.
So find
when was
me,
the last time?
if you look at 10 teachers, 4 of them are great. I want to double their salaries.
That's no question. I agree with you.
So why don't you just get rid of unions?
Now what happens if you have a quarter of shame where kids go to school and their heating and air don't work, where their infrastructure is falling apart, where they have to drink unclean water, or they come to
Send the
school
money
hungry?
to the states. That's what Trump
How
is
does
doing.
that fix the problem I just laid out to you?
Well, you got to fix the unions first, because we both agree bad teachers destroy advancement of
So
children.
I just have a question. Are you?
Let me tell you this, guys. I hated the school system. I was I was in all the what is it called, like special gifted classes, whatever, growing up, and those were my favorite classes. Why? Because I'd get into the class and they would let you kind of just do whatever you wanted to do. And so what I did was I learned and studied all the stuff that I wanted to learn. When I would go back to the regular class, I hated it because it was all about follow the book, do exactly what the book says, and always basically put you into a box and don't allow for critical thinking. And when I got into high school and all this stuff, I got into like the advanced placement classes and all this stuff. And guys, let me tell you this, it's all a game. Like school, anybody can be good at school. Just spend enough time studying the book and you'll do okay. But this is the thing. When we teach these kids how to live inside of a box, not be creative, not use their critical thinking skills, then all they ever think about is, I've got to do this and then this will happen. That's why so many kids are in college debt, because they were told if you go to college and spend $200,000 on an education, you're going to come out making 6 figures. You're going to be making $200,000 a year, and it didn't happen. You got people that spent $150,000 on education making $40,000 a year and on paying student loans for the next 40 to 50 years of their life. It was all a scam because this is the way that I see it. Schools right now want you to think a certain way, to not think outside the box, and to become essentially robots. Don't question the authority. Don't question how things are supposed to be. Just do what you're told, shut up, and sit there. And that's not what makes America great. What makes America great is innovative thinkers, people that are willing to take chance and risk and do things a different way. And that's why, again, too, right here, the people, this is Steve Jobs, guys, the guy who co-founded Apple. He said the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. And I believe that in myself. That's why we do this channel. That's why I'm doing a lot of other things, because I want to change this world for good. And we got to get our kids to stop being so robotic and help them to unleash their potential. And right now, guys, with what I'm about to show you next, we're so focused on all the bad that we can't even focus on the good. Listen to this.
Recognized for 5 minutes for questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to keep it to 5 minutes. Ms. Doyle, you taught, you're an immigrant.
And guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support.
Immigration attorney?
Yes.
Okay, and you teach immigration law?
I have in the past, yes.
And you were a legal advisor to ICE?
I was, yes.
Question, do you support President Trump's policy to designate cartels as terrorist organizations?
I think that by designating...
It's a yes or no. Do you support President Trump's policy to designate cartels
I support focusing on national security.
Do you support President Trump's policy to designate cartels as terrorist organizations?
I think it is important
yes or
to
no?
focus on national security.
Okay.
Wow.
Should rapists...
Right there, guys. You have a Democrat who will not even admit to common sense policy of labeling cartels that funnel fentanyl into the United States that kill Americans as terrorist organizations. That woman right there, for what she should have to give back all the money that the United States gave her.
Illegals who are here illegally, who rape American women and girls, should they be deported? Yes or no?
Individuals with serious criminal convictions such as that are deported every single day.
Oh, no, they're not. What about murderers? Do you think murderers should be deported?
Murders are also subject to deportation.
Okay, so there is a sanctuary sheriff named Kristen Graziano in Charleston County, South Carolina, who refused to work with ICE, And she was letting criminal illegals out on the street who were raping my constituents, raping women in Charleston, in South Carolina, pedophiles, child molesters, murderers out onto the streets of South Carolina. This is happening in Bright Red, South Carolina, the sanctuary sheriff. So they aren't being deported because there are sanctuary mayors. You want to quote Mayor Wu as being this gift from God about safety. I mean, she was literally like praising or sending her condolences to a knife-wielding maniac trying to murder people on the streets of Boston. It's crazy to me. And here you have a law degree. You have done advised on immigration to ICE, and you can't even say whether or not you want the cartels to be designated as terrorist organizations. You're hiding behind some little lofty quote about national security, which is not really making a whole lot of sense. One of the things I did want to fact check some of my colleagues on today is this idea, which has been said by multiple people online in this hearing today, that it's not illegal to come here illegally. Well, under Title 8, it actually is. Title 8 USC 1325 about the improper entry of an alien. It is breaking the law when you enter here illegally. And our witness, Ms. Doyle, cited in her opening presentation the 10th Amendment, that it gives absolute control to states and cities and counties to handle the immigration issue. It actually doesn't, and if I'm shocked as an attorney that you don't know the law, because it says under the law in multiple places, especially in long-standing Supreme Court precedent. But the 10th Amendment says the power is not delegated to the federal government or reserved for the states. Congress' power to regulate immigration primarily stems from Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4. And that is the power to establish a uniform rule of naturalization. And under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, power to regulate commerce with foreign nations. I'm not even an attorney, and I could easily look that up. I think we need to have higher standards for those who are lawyers and also practicing law and teaching law to our students, because there's a long-standing Supreme Court precedent also that's recognized Congress as having plenary power over immigration and not actually the states. And plenary means absolute control. So last year, I exposed a sanctuary sheriff who was doing day after day after day, months after months. I exposed her for releasing the worst of the worst, the most violent, those illegals that were committing the worst possible crimes. I fought to get rid of this sanctuary sheriff, Kristen Graziano, when I had documents sent to me by a whistleblower, and I ended up talking to multiple sources about this. I was one of the only elected officials that called out our sanctuary sheriff in South Carolina, Kristen Graziano. No one in statewide elected office, not my Attorney General Alan Wilson, not my Lieutenant Governor Pam Yvette, if you're listening and you're watching, you stood by silent as a sanctuary sheriff let out murderers, let out rapists, let out child molesters and pedophiles out onto the streets of South Carolina. It was wrong, it was unethical, it was illegal. I had 145 Democrats vote against my bill, the Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act. 145 Democrats voted against deporting those who are here illegally, the worst of the worst, murderers, rapists, pedophiles. Mr. Chairman, I yield back. I did it in record time today.
You see that, guys? 145 Democrats voted against that. It's always, guys, and what bothers me is the transparency. We need it more than anything else. Oh, let me show it here. Whenever it comes to what's happening with Kash Patel, thank God he's in there because he is doing things. And just imagine whenever Bongino gets in there and how much he's going to do. But the FBI hands over January 6th pipe bomb documents to the House Republicans. The letter says, so we're finally getting transparency when it comes to what the heck happened on January 6th with the pipe bomber, with the FBI informants, with the people who were there. Because I promise you this, we don't know the full story. We only know a part of it. Just like the part of the story where Democrats are trying to side with this person who is a funded terrorist who is here on a student visa, saying you can't deport him. He has free speech to tell Americans that like going to these colleges and supporting Hamas, which is a terrorist group. And I love it because every single point in matter, Trump has somebody to come out and set the record straight and do it in such an eloquent way anybody can understand. For the record, listen to this.
When you come to the United States as a visitor, which is what a visa is, which is how this individual entered this country, as on a visitor's visa, okay? You are here as a visitor. We can deny you that visa. We can deny you that if you tell us when you apply, hi, I'm trying to get into the United States on a student visa. I am a big supporter of Hamas, a murderous, barbaric group that kidnaps children, that rapes teenage girls, that takes hostages, that allows them to die in captivity, that returns more bodies than live hostages. If you tell us that you are in favor of a group like this, and if you tell us when you apply for your visa, and by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student and rile up all kinds of anti-Jewish student, anti-Semitic activities, I intend to shut down your universities. If you told us all these things when you applied for a visa, we would deny your visa. I hope we would. If you actually end up doing that, once you're in this country on such a visa, we will revoke it. And if you end up having a green card, not citizenship, but a green card as a result of that visa while you're here in those activities, we're going to kick you out. It's as simple as that. This is not about free speech. This is about people that don't have a right to be in the United States to begin with. No one has a right to a student visa. No one has a right to a green card, by the way. So when you apply for a student visa, or any visa to enter the United States, we have a right to deny you for virtually any reason. But I think being a supporter of Hamas and coming into our universities and turning them upside down and being complicit in what are clearly crimes of vandalization, complicit in shutting down learning institutions. There are kids at these schools that can't go to class. You pay all this money to these high-priced schools that are supposed to be of great esteem, and you can't even go to class. You're afraid to go to class because these lunatics are running around with covers on their face, screaming terrifying things. If you told us that's what you intended to do when you came to America, we would have never let you in. And if you do it once you get in, we're going to revoke it and kick you out.
And that's what should happen, guys. You cannot tell me that it is wrong if a person says, I support a terrorist organization, and going to these college campuses with you can't even see their face. They're trying to hide themselves, and they're allowed to be there when we have kids that just trying to go to school, just trying to live a normal life. This is like finally accountability of doing things for Americans first, citizens first. And it's about dang time because we've put illegal immigrants and others way before Americans for a long time, and it's about time that it stops. And what I love too is that all the reporting that is coming with it. Check this out.
Lose the last election, they're losing all their centers of power. Cable news used to be a safe space for liberals, but that safe space is gone. Over the last 4 years, Fox has almost doubled its viewers, while CNN and MSNBC are down nearly 70%. They're laying off staff and talent's taking pay cuts. Rachel Maddow took a $5 million haircut and has to work 5 days a week instead of 1. On the other hand, Scott Jennings just got a raise for becoming CNN's sole voice of reason. Congrats. But the mainstream media isn't just losing their audience, they're losing their credibility. Democrats lost their biggest censorship tool when Musk bought Twitter. And some of the savvier companies are now restructuring and remembering the customer's always right. Amazon just announced their upcoming Melania documentary, and they're now streaming old episodes of The Apprentice.
Everyone hates you. Everyone.
I don't think they hate you.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Okay.
Some hate. Some hate. So far, you've got no respect from anybody. Would you say that's a correct statement, Nick?
I'd say that's correct.
You made the mistake of not meeting.
Let me tell you this. I actually never watched The Apprentice, but I'm going to go watch all of them because I feel like it's going to be good TV.
With the president, and you made a mistake.
Mr. Trump, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Jason, this is a tough one. You're fired.
Disney used to be woke, and then they gave Tim Allen a show, and it's a huge hit.
We are changing the school mascot. The Minuteman was not very inclusive.
What's more inclusive than a dude wearing a wig, stockings, little high heels, holding onto a rifle? That could bring this country together. Checks every damn box.
It's not just TV, it's podcasts. Democrats booted Rogan from Polite Company, and then he ate their lunch. And now they're scrambling. Michelle Obama's podcast drops tomorrow, and I can't wait. Gavin's taking note. He's now gone from hosting Charlie Kirk to Michael Savage on his new little podcast.
Gavin, I pay 16% in state taxes.
You need a better accountant because it's 13.3%.
But there's a millionaire's tax on top of it.
Well,
and I'm 83 years old and I still work.
Right.
Okay, I have another home in Florida.
Yeah.
I don't live there. Right. I prefer where I live. I've gotten used to the fog, to the seagulls, to the cormorants. I know all the birds of the bay. I'm an avid boater. But there's a point at which I will leave this state, and that will be taxation without representation. I could go to Florida and pay no state tax.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the reality is we have the highest tax rate, but not the highest taxes in America.
MAGA's defanging bureaucrats and knocking their media gravy train off the tracks. This is a full frontal assault on every pillar of liberal power. Federal bureaucrats, cities, universities, and now the media in Hollywood. Republicans are toppling every asset Democrats once controlled. And we've got nearly 4 more years of the golden age.
Let's go.
Former White House press secretary and co-host of Outnumbered, Kayleigh McEnany, is here. I love Savage is like, oh no, actually I pay even more taxes than you realize, Governor. You don't know that?
Yeah. No, he's been schooled. My favorite was when Gavin Newsom was challenged by Charlie Kirk. And Gavin Newsom was saying, my son loves you, Charlie Kirk. And Charlie's like, well, where is he? And Newsom's like, well, he's in school. School's very important. To which Charlie replied, you shut down schools for 2 years, Gavin. I mean, it is a lot of fun, I will say. It is a little podcast. You are right. But it is fun to watch him be schooled with facts by the right. And that seems to be a routine. There's only been 2 episodes.
And now AOC is going to go to red districts and have a conversation. How's that going to go?
Yeah, I mean, look, good luck with that. She's one of the few Democrats, I will say, that does understand the social media landscape. She might be crazy in her views. There's no doubt about it. But she's someone who I think will go and talk to people and understands organic in a way that maybe the rest of the Democratic Party does. But I think she's going to have a hard time. Democrats are meeting in Leesburg, Virginia tomorrow. In Leesburg, they are going to see a poll that shows 27% of independents think that Democrats do not care about people like me. It's going to be a pretty challenging meeting. I don't know that AOC and Jasmine, as organic and social media savvy as they are the answer to that problem. But I'd love to be a fly on the wall in Leesburg tomorrow.
Maybe I should say Johnny over to Leesburg to infiltrate their little summit. What do you think?
Ooh.
I shouldn't even say
that.
that.
Yes, you have to get him a good disguise.
I'll give him one of those glasses with the nose and the mustache. They'll never see him coming.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, Johnny hardly looks like a Democrat.
Guys, let me tell you this. We are living in a new age. Again, I get so excited showing you these types of things where Doge is at $191 billion in money saved. We've got a new saying that's happening around Congress called "In Doge We Trust." House GOP governs by embracing Trump's effort to cut government. It's about dang time. We need to reduce the government, because it's all falls on the weight of the taxpayer. If we have to keep borrowing to keep our government open because we can't fiscally be responsible with the taxpayer money that comes in, then that means that inflation will go up because the government, they have to create the money, guys. And this is the part again too, where the transparency, the amount of information that we get, the daily briefings, all the open on X. I mean, they tried to take X down a couple of days ago. It matters. It changes everything because never in history have we had this level of transparency, not just coming from the president, but coming from his right-hand man, Elon, and Elon owns X. So you know all the information is coming out there. Check this out.
The Washington briefing is the one and only White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. I don't know what part I like better. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I've read Hamas's charter. Does it not call for the destruction of Israel? Is this not recognized as a known terrorist organization? And if you're in this country and you support a terrorist organization and you're not a citizen in this country, why would one think that you have a right to stay in this country?
Everything you just said is true, Sean, and unfortunately, it appears the liberals and the legacy media think that if you are a foreign national, you can behave in any manner that you want. You can protest and push Hamas propaganda. You can side with a foreign terrorist organization that has killed American citizens, that has murdered innocent babies, men, women, and children across the globe. Under this administration, that type of activity, siding with radical Islamic terrorists, will not stand. And the Trump administration, at the direction of President Trump's executive order, has a zero-tolerance policy for foreign nationals who are given the privilege of getting a visa and going to some of our finest, our nation's finest universities and colleges, studying at those institutions, and then siding with these radical terrorist organizations. And so this arrest that took place on the campus of Columbia is the first of many to come. Secretary Noem and Secretary of State Rubio are working together, and I would like to add and emphasize to the mainstream media who still doesn't get it, this is well within the president and the Secretary of State's authority. Secretary Rubio revoked this individual's visa based on the Immigration and Nationality Act because this individual clearly poses an adversarial consequence to the foreign policy and national interests of our great country. This was the right decision. President Trump promised he would stand up for Jewish American students, and he is delivering on that promise.
Now, do the countries of Canada, does Mexico, does India, do countries in the European Union, do they practice free and fair trade with us, or do they put tariffs on American goods that most Americans don't know about?
America has been ripped off by our adversaries, but even more so by our allies for far too long, especially our neighbors to the north and to the south. If you look at our trade deficits, if you look at the tariffs that Canada in particular has placed on American agricultural goods to the tune of nearly 300%, look at the tariffs they've implemented on our automobiles. And finally, the American people have a president, Sean, who is standing up for them, for hardworking American workers and their families, for our industries. And the beauty of President Trump's tariff policy is that it's very simple. All he's asking for is reciprocity. We are finally going to treat nations the way that they have treated the United States for far too long. And Canada saw, if you want to step up into the big leagues with President Trump, you better be prepared to play. It looks like they are not, because the Ontario Premier already dropped his 25% tariff on electricity after having a bold threat to shut off electricity for the American people. President Trump said absolutely not. He did what is right. He stood by the American people, and his tariff policy is working. It's going to make America wealthy again. It's going to bring jobs back home. And to every investor around the world, if you come to the United States and do business, you will face no tariffs. You will have the lowest taxes on the planet, and that's how we're going to make America strong and wealthy again.
30-day ceasefire. We've come a long way in 11 days when the media and Democrats were saying this is the end of the universe. I predicted that Zelensky would be back. Thankfully, he is. Any word on the other side, that being Vladimir Putin and Russia? Are they any indication they are open? Putin has said publicly he's open to a negotiated settlement. Any progress?
I have not been updated on the progress. I know that Secretary of State Rubio and the National Security Advisor Mike Waltz are working very hard on this. The president is obviously very engaged and involved. He was briefed throughout the day today on the situation unfolding in Saudi Arabia. But to your point, Sean, there were a lot of doubters in the media and here in Washington, D.C. The same foreign policy class that has always doubted President Trump continues to. I'm not sure when they will learn, but the president masters the art of the deal. He is a negotiator in chief, and he put President Zelensky in his place and told him that the Americans are serious about a long-term peace deal, and we are very, very pleased with the way that the Ukrainians and this deal today turned out, and we hope that this will continue in a long and everlasting peace. That's President Trump's goal, and we hope we can deliver on that goal.
Let's go.
I made a promise yesterday. I was buying a Tesla, and people can look at it on Hannity.com or on my X account. It's the most American-made car of any car made in the U.S.
That is
I live
true.
about 30 seconds.
Guys, again, what more could you be happier that the guy who literally is Trump's right-hand man has his companies in America? They're all American-made, 100%. Like, that's just what blows my mind. And liberals hate Elon Musk right now so much, and all they're going to keep doing is losing, losing, losing. I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching, guys. Thank you so much for your support. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Let us serve you every day with the top news. And thank you to everybody that shares this channel, guys. If you don't mind giving us a thumbs up like button, guys, it really does help with our growth of the channel. Thank you to all everybody who's given a super chat donation. Want to give some love to Gerald Stewart, Brenda Miro, Ty Matt Chong, Sharon Holt. Y'all show them some love in the chat, guys. And don't forget, this week only, our pre-orders for our t-shirts, we have limited quantities on selling this first edition True Life News t-shirt down below this video. If you don't see it, you can refresh your page. But if you're a member, you get the 15% off, which that discount code is in the community post in our channel. And just want to say thank you to everybody who's purchased already. Guys, remember, we're donating a portion of these sales to charity, which we'll show you on this channel live, just like we do every single month of donating to charity with your support. And just want to say we're going to continue ramping this up, guys. A lot of this is we want to bring the truth to as many people as possible. We want to allow people to see multiple different angles in all the news, not just from one media source, guys. We don't just report from Fox. We show you things from CNN. We show you things from X. We show you from every source because there's so much out there. We want to make sure that in all this world of news, you get the most important and the best show possible, and that's what we're here to do. And we just want to say we're so thankful and grateful for your support. And again, guys, remember, Monday through Friday, 2 shows a day, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. We love you so much. Appreciate your support, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.